On January 8, 1935, in a two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis Aaron Presley was born. His twin brother, Jesse, was stillborn, leaving Elvis as the only child of Vernon and Gladys Presley. From the very beginning, his life was shaped by poverty, hardship, and an intense closeness to his family, especially his mother. But despite these humble beginnings, Elvis would go on to change the face of popular music, becoming a global icon and one of the most influential cultural figures of the 20th century. Elvis grew up in a deeply religious household, and the music of the church became an early and powerful influence on him. Gospel music, with its emotional intensity and spiritual fervor, struck a chord with the young boy. Music became his escape, his comfort, and his passion. The Presley family struggled financially. Vernon, Elvis's father, spent time in prison for forging a check, leaving Gladys to care for her young son on her own. Despite the challenges, Elvis remained a devoted son, forming an almost unbreakable bond with his mother. As a teenager, Elvis and his family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, in search of better opportunities. It was in Memphis, the birthplace of blues and home to a burgeoning music scene, that Elvis would begin to find his voice. Elvis was different from other kids. He dressed in a style that was considered odd at the time, mixing flashy clothes and a rebellious hairstyle that set him apart. His classmates teased him for his quiet, introverted nature, but inside, Elvis harbored a deep love for music, especially rhythm and blues, country, and gospel. After high school, Elvis worked various odd jobs, including as a truck driver for Crown Electric, but his heart was always in music. In 1953, at the age of 18, he saved up for dollars to record a song for his mother at Sun Studio, a small recording studio in Memphis run by Sam Phillips. That seemingly insignificant recording session would become the first step toward changing music history forever. Sam Phillips, the owner of Sun Records, was always on the lookout for a white singer who could capture the raw emotion and energy of African American rhythm and blues. When Elvis walked into Sun Studio in 1954 and recorded a fast-paced, spontaneous version of That's All Right, Phillips knew he had found his man. In 1955, Elvis caught the attention of Colonel Tom Parker, a former carnival promoter with a knack for managing talent. Parker saw in Elvis a gold mine of potential and quickly took control of his career, securing him a contract with RCA Records and propelling him into the national spotlight. In 1956, Elvis made his first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, drawing an audience of over 60 million viewers. His performances were controversial, with some calling him indecent and a threat to American morality. But for the younger generation, Elvis was a symbol of rebellion and freedom of break from the conservative values of their parents. His meteoric rise to fame marked the beginning of the rock and roll revolution. As his fame grew, so did his opportunities. In 1956, Elvis made his film debut in Love Me Tender, and over the next few years, he became one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Films like Jailhouse Rock and King Creole showcased his charisma and solidified his status as both a music and film icon. Despite his success, Elvis's life was not without tragedy. In 1958, while Elvis was serving in the US Army in Germany, his mother, Gladys, passed away suddenly. Her death devastated him. Elvis and Gladys had shared an extraordinarily close bond, and her loss left a void in his life that he would struggle to fill for the rest of his days. In 1958, Elvis was drafted into the US Army, serving 2 years in Germany. During this time, he met 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu, who would later become his wife. His time in the military allowed him to step away from the spotlight. But when he returned in 1960, Elvis was still the king of rock and roll. By the late 1960s, Elvis's career had begun to wane. But in 1968, everything changed with the Elvis Presley Comeback Special, a television event that marked his triumphant return to live performance. The raw, stripped-down energy of the special reminded the world of what had made Elvis a star in the first place. Clad in black leather, Elvis performed with a renewed vigor, proving that he was still a force to be reckoned with. By the mid-1970s, the pressures of fame, combined with a grueling tour schedule and personal issues, began to take a toll on Elvis's health. He became increasingly dependent on prescription drugs to cope with the physical and emotional demands of his life. His marriage to Priscilla ended in divorce in 1973, and his once-trim physique began to deteriorate as he battled weight gain and addiction. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley was found dead in his Graceland mansion. He was just 42 years old. The world mourned the loss of one of its greatest musical icons, a man who had changed the course of popular culture and left an indelible mark on music history. Elvis Presley's influence extends far beyond the realm of music. He was a cultural phenomenon, a man who broke barriers and redefined what it meant to be a pop star. His fusion of gospel, country, and rhythm and blues created a new sound that forever changed the landscape of popular music. Today, his legacy lives on through his music, his films, and the countless artists he has inspired.